Scientific Mom. Today we're going to be doing an experiment with acids and bases. Now I'm sure some of you have experimented with acids and bases before. A common experiment deals with baking soda and vinegar. Baking soda is a base, and when you put it together with vinegar, it interacts, creating a foamy, bubbly explosion where it neutralizes each other. So how do we know whether a liquid in our house is acidic or basic? Well, one thing we can do is a litmus test, where we can take an indicator solution and we can test our liquids with it to see if it will change color. Here we have red cabbage water. Red cabbage has a pigment in it that changes color depending on the pH of a substance that it's tested against. So here we have vinegar. Watch what happens when we add the acidic vinegar to our litmus. It changes to a bright red color. So the red cabbage water indicated that the substance that we were pouring into it was an acid by changing into a red color. When it interacts with something that has a low pH number, it'll turn to an orange or a red. This demonstrated the acidity of the vinegar by changing into a red. Now what about this one right here? In this beaker, I have regular water. If I add baking powder to it, let's see what happens. All right, so we're going to stir our baking powder into our water. One interesting thing that we'll notice is that the water is fizzing. That's because water too can be acidic or basic depending on the substance that is interacting with it. In this case, the baking powder is more basic than the water is, so it's neutralizing the acid in the water. Watch what happens when we pour it into the red Cabbage Indicator. It turns a brilliant, beautiful lavender color. This demonstrates that it's more neutral on the scale, but it's edging towards basic. It has a higher pH than water, which is about 7. It's in the middle of the pH scale. Now here, we have something to test that should give us a really great basic color with our indicator. This is dollar store cleaner. It's called Awesome Cleaner, and it's non-toxic and non-reactive. Watch what happens when we pour it in here. So this turned a brilliant green color. So this is a really fun way to test whether the materials you have in your house are acids or bases. All you need is some red cabbage. You can chop it up into small pieces, cover it with boiling water for about 10 minutes until you see the water start to turn a bluish or purplish color. At that point, you'll know it's ready to use. Then you can filter out your cabbage pieces, pour your water into some clear glass jars, and get to testing some of the liquids in your house. Now we have one more test to conduct. I mentioned earlier about how acids and bases can interact with each other and neutralize each other. Well, we can watch that happen with an indicator test. Here we have some baking powder in water. And once again, it's reacting with the water as the water is more acidic than the baking soda. Watch what happens when we pour it into our indicator solution. Now we see the same lavender color that we saw in this indicator over here. However, what would happen if we were to add vinegar to our indicator solution? Let's find out. So we have our baking soda and vinegar sort of explosion. It's a smaller one because it's baking powder. But you'll also notice that the top, right here, this upper layer is more acidic than the lower layer. That's because the vinegar is interacting with the baking soda and it's releasing carbon dioxide gas, which is acidic. But this is also less dense than the solution below it. So here you have a nice density column of indicator solution. So I wonder what would happen if we were to add the rest of our vinegar into our density column. We have a lot more fun with our bubbly explosion, that's for sure. So as you can see, we have a brilliantly colorful density column of indicator awesomeness. I encourage you to try this at home. It's really easy. All you need are some red cabbage chopped up, covered in boiling water for 10 minutes, strain it out, and you're ready to test. If you do test these out, I encourage you to share your results with us. You can find us at our Facebook page at The Scientific Mom. Please share your results there. Happy exploring!